Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. Vegan guns. I'm pushing my veganism on you. Graham, stop pushing your veganism on us. I'm forcing you all to be vegans. I love when I get told, Graham, stop pushing whatever. I assume if you're watching my show, you have a brain and can make your own decisions. If you're watching MSNBC and you believe what they're saying, I think you do not have a brain. Because MSNBC is literally, I'm about to show you, they're bummed out we're pulling out of Afghanistan. They're sad. The war, we've been in for 20 years, that war, they're sad. Now, there's this story floating around, we pulled out and now the Taliban is gaining steam. Okay. We should have pulled out a decade ago. A decade, we should have pulled out 15 years ago. Give me a break. We should have pulled out when Obama said he was going to pull out. Remember, he ran on, I'm going to pull us out, and then up the troop count in Afghanistan? It's preposterous. So here's how MSNBC, listen to their voices. They're all sad.
Joining me now, NBC News Chief Foreign Correspondent Richard Engel in Kabul, Afghanistan. Richard, you know this better than anyone. First of all, when the president says that they're going to have their Air Force do the job, we know that without U.S. contractors, replacements, spare parts, repairs, a lot of that is at stake. And that's for the Air Force. What about the ground forces? The Taliban advancing as we speak.
So some of the units of the Afghan security forces are starting to collapse. And you mentioned a clip from General Miller in which he talked about the rapid loss of district centers. What has happened is a lot of these district centers, which are effectively local government centers, are simply being handed over to the Taliban. The Afghan police or tribal forces, or in some cases, regular Afghan army, are walking away. The Taliban will arrive and they will have a negotiated surrender, surrendering their weapons, surrendering their bases, and then the Taliban will, in some cases, give them money, bus fare home, in kind of an act of humiliation. Say, thanks for your weapon. Here's a few dollars, actually around $100 per person. Now,
which, by the way, is a lot of money in Afghanistan. $100 is a lot of money in Afghanistan. So I'm obviously not saying, oh, wow, the Taliban is gaining steam. I'm not saying those aren't good things. That's not a good thing. Obviously, the Taliban's pretty nuts. They're pretty awful. Their treatment of women and girls is pretty horrible. But we've been at this war for 20 years. Shouldn't have 20 years? Shouldn't Afghanistan be fixed and a thriving democracy and women are on the government and there's schools, and shouldn't that happen by now? No, it hasn't, because that was never the intention in Afghanistan. The intention in Afghanistan is to get another stronghold, to put bases surrounding Iran, and to be closer so we can get oil and minerals, to use a pipeline through Afghanistan, and also to get minerals and shit for cell phones and whatnot. Okay? That's what Afghanistan is all about. That's what it's always been about. Because if we really went in there we're going to get the Taliban out of power, and we're going to keep that, we're going to fix that country and rebuild it, it would be what Tokyo and Japan looked like in 1961. 1964 was the Tokyo Olympics. Less than 20 years from the end of World War II. Because we went in there with a Marshall Plan and we're going to rebuild this country. After we dropped the atomic bomb, which we covered, Lee Camp and I, on Government Secrets, we didn't need to do. The Japanese were ready to surrender, but we bombed them anyway. Separate story. Go watch Government Secrets. But this. I can't even listen to this nonsense. And it's always this if Trump pulled out, they would be screaming, Trump is destabilizing the region. Biden pulls out and they're sad. Either way, Republican or Democratic president pulling out, they don't like it because they make a lot of money from it. I'll show you in a second. And also let's be careful now. Oh, Taliban's picked up steam, so maybe we got to send troops back there at 12 months from now. They're going to keep playing this story. Taliban's taking up steam. It's getting worse. Just be ready. Be ready for that. Maybe right around the midterm to 2024, right in the 2023 during the primaries leading up to the 24 election. Just get ready for another like Afghanistan's gotten worse.
Go home and don't come back. That has happened about 50 times in the last 2 months. So there is a real serious concern that the Afghan security forces, without American support, are in a state of collapse. And that's the ground forces, let alone their air force or their use of sophisticated weapons. Some of this is a lack of confidence. Some of this is because the Afghan security feel a little demoralized. They feel like they are being abandoned, and they are worried what could happen to them in the future. But the signs we are seeing right now are not encouraging that the Afghan government and the Afghan security forces are going to be able to hold on and keep this country at least as stable as it has been as U.S. forces complete their withdrawal, which is now advancing quite quickly.
And one of the issues that you've been highlighting is 18,000, an estimated 18,000 translators, drivers, and other Afghan personnel whose lives are endangered. They are under death threats. They and their families, as many as 70,000 people that the U.S. has promised that they can safely evacuate. Now, we understand from the State Department yesterday that only 9,000 of those 18,000 have completed the initial steps for visas, and that these visas have not properly been processed. Some of them have been waiting for years. I pressed the State Department spokesman when he said that we have an enduring commitment to make.
Have we heard this before? Is this awful that these local Afghans that help the U.S. military are now getting targeted? Yes. But what created, this is what drives me nuts. They're never saying, yeah, we never should have been in here in the first place. We should have, if you want to make the case, oh, all right, that they were giving Afghanistan was giving safe haven, safe harbor for the 9/11 bombers. We went in there, boom. All right, great. That's your justification. Fine. Then build the country up and make it this thriving democracy now. But this incremental crap and this just never-ending war thing that Bush kept going, that Obama kept going, and Trump kept going. Trump and Obama ran on, we're getting troops out of there, and didn't. Okay? So they act like, but this is what we do. This is what America does. We get ourselves tangled in the wars we shouldn't. But we did the same thing in Vietnam, by the way. Went into that war that we never should have been in, stayed in there too long, spent all this crazy money, lied. We know, thanks to the Pentagon Papers, that it was a lie, thanks to Mike Gravel reading on the floor of the U.S. Senate, that the American people were lied to. And did local Vietnamese that helped the U.S., did they get targeted? Yeah, and that's awful. Because we went in there and lied to them. We never should have been there in the first place. We've been in Afghanistan for 20 goddamn years, and they're still acting like, boy, I don't know. But no one, are they going to say, well, at least now we can save money and spend it on Medicare for all? These are the same people that say, how are we going to pay for Medicare for all? I don't know. Maybe not spend $2 trillion in Afghanistan over 20 years?
Maintaining a diplomatic presence there. Let's watch. This is Ned Price.
Oh, great. What's this idiot going to say?
It is absolutely not the case that we intend to abandon Afghanistan, that we intend to.
You could just tell when a guy's lying, right? We have no intention of abandoning. Hey, Afghan people, run for the hills, man. Get out of there. Do what you got to do. Get yourself safe, because the American government is going to bail and abandon you, which is what they always do. Now, the dummies at Fox are going to go, oh, we're leaving. We're going to make America unsafe. No. We make America unsafe by continual war and bombing the Middle East. We've created more terrorists with our drone strikes. If we did what like China is doing in the Middle East and Africa, China just spends a bunch of money to gain favor. They just spend money. That's what America could be doing. We could be like, oh, wow, Afghanistan is now, we helped build their infrastructure. Oh, now they got a World Cup team. The soccer is huge in the rest of the world. It's huge in there. Imagine if that was part of the goal of rebuilding Afghanistan, was that we're going to get soccer teams going. We're going to spend money on football stadiums to get soccer, like a national team, local, and get everybody excited about sports rather than fighting each other with the Taliban. And we're going to give money in schools and infrastructure. They're going to say, oh, the Taliban, no. Are the Taliban evil and some of them evil and crazy? Of course. But gee, how did the Taliban start? Did they just a bunch of crazy guys start their own gang called the Taliban? Or did America arm the Mujahideen in the 80s to fight the Soviet Union? And then once the Soviet Union left, America left. Does this sound familiar? Watch the movie Charlie Wilson's War. We abandoned the Afghanistan. We have Afghanis. We abandoned the Mujahideen. Did we come in after the Soviet Union left and pour a bunch of money into Afghanistan to build it back up and make it a part of the international community? Nope. We just split. And there was like a 70 or 80% illiteracy rate. We left a bunch of weapons there. And we let, Islamic fundamentalists run rampant because we didn't give them any options. Read the book, The Kite Runner. It's a fictional story, but it's set against the backdrop of Afghanistan. You abandon a country and there's mass poverty. Gee, extremists take over. Sound familiar? That's happening in America. We've abandoned the working class in America, and extremists are taking over. This happens all the time. We've abandoned Afghanistan. This is now the second time we've abandoned Afghanistan. We went in there, got it all messed up, and abandoned. Imagine if we would have stayed after the Soviets left and going, we're going to just spend money and we're going to bring in businesses and we're going to get the schools and the roads and the infrastructure of Afghanistan. It would be like Kuwait or something. Kuwait I've been to Kuwait numerous times, a rich country. They got a lot of money. They got oil. Afghanistan, I don't know if they got oil, but we could have put money into them to have a local economy. Nope. We abandoned them in the late 80s and we're abandoning them. What is that? 30 years later?
Relent in our support for the government of Afghanistan, that we intend to diminish our support and our partnership for the people of Afghanistan.
That's predicated on our ability to maintain a diplomatic presence.
And which we intend to do.
Which depends on the airport and a lot of other things.
And the security at the airport, security at our embassy.
So we're keeping troops there, obviously at the embassy. And at the airport, apparently.
Oh, all right. Keeping me at the embassy. Okay. We do that at every embassy, but at the airport. Okay. Get ready. 6, 9, 12 months, somewhere in the 6 to 18 month range. Taliban resurgence. Biden has no choice but to send troops back. Get ready for that. Meanwhile, Americans are starving and don't have insurance and keep dying because they don't have insurance. But we got money for war.
Some smaller number.
And a lot of the details are not clear. How the
They haven't been clear for 20 years because we've just been vaguely upping and downing the troop count number, but we're always there. It's vague. We're going to keep it vague.
Port is going to be secured. There's talk about an involvement with Turkey. Will that be the last stronghold for American forces so that they can keep the door open should they need to come back in or move personnel in covertly or overtly? But a lot of what is happening here is not happening publicly, and I think that is also one of the factors that is that is creating such concern among the Afghan government, among the Afghan security forces, because they really don't know exactly what is going on. The White House, President Biden today made it very clear he doesn't really want to talk about Afghanistan. He would rather be talking about 4th of July. He said today he would rather be talking about happy things than talking about 4th of July. He didn't want to talk about Afghanistan. And this withdrawal is happening with a great deal of secrecy. Bagram closed today, but it didn't close with a big ceremony. VIPs were not invited to watch it happen. These bases are shutting down one at a time, more or less behind closed doors. And it's leaving a lot of Afghans very, very concerned about their future, including the Afghan security forces.
And especially
Yeah, I've been to Bagram 3 times, performed there, stayed in the entertainer's tent. My good friend Scott Kennedy went over there I don't know, 20 sometimes to Afghanistan, I think 50 times to Iraq. Yeah, it was very profound. So to hear that they're leaving and closing down this base, I have a lot of emotions about it, mixed emotions in terms of like, I'm glad we're pulling out. I'm glad we're leaving. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. It was a life-changing experience, but I got to see war firsthand and, you know, got to see regular working class Americans get sent to war so that billionaires and defense contractors can profit. And a lot of people went over there thinking they were fighting for a just cause. They were told they were fighting for a just cause, and they've just been lied to, man. I'm just so sick of Americans getting lied to, and American sons and daughters going over there, you know, and trying to do good work. I met so many people, officers, enlisted people, like men, women, like we're really trying to do good work. We're finding water wells for this village, and we're trying to run security so girls can go to school and like stuff. You're like, wow, that's important. But then we just half it, and it's not, we don't really do it. If you're sitting there going, you know, we went to Afghanistan and we're leaving now, and it's amazing. There's women in government. They have schools. They have thriving cities. There's so much more equality there. There's a thriving economy. The Taliban has been completely diminished. They're not even in existence. It's the local government's great, but we didn't do that. Because that was never the goal was never to help the Afghan people. The goal is for money and power and strategic geographic presence so that we have, I mean, look at a map. Afghanistan and Iraq. We got so
And the women and girls who've been able to be educated over the last 20 years under American leadership and don't, as you pointed out this morning on the Today Show, don't want to return to the Middle Ages.
No, this is 20 years, and you have to think of this as been not just 20 years, but a generation. The average age in Afghanistan, the median age, is 19 and a half. So most people in this country have been born under the American presence here. That includes women, that includes girls, that includes all these young people who have a different kind of expectation. And they don't want to go back to living under medieval Taliban rule by any stretch of the imagination. But they feel powerless right now as this militia group, which has been fighting against the United States for 20 years and has gotten better at fighting by sharpening its knife against American armor for so long.
So he just said it unknowingly. We've helped get the Taliban get better. That's what he just said. That's what he just said. So that's what we've done over the last 20 years. Spend trillions of dollars, waste resources, money, people's lives, but we've helped the Taliban become better fighters.
Is making these rapid advances. So a lot of people are very nervous, and I would put women and girls, but also young men who had different hopes for the future at the top of that list.
Any interviews with any locals? We're just going off this guy's word. Okay. Seems fair.
Richard Angle, your extraordinary reporting for many, many years there. Thank you very much.
No more. Oh. Why is MSNBC so downtrodden about war? Is it because they get a lot of ad money for war? Raytheon. This is a Raytheon ad. Cool technology, future. Exciting. Yeah.
We see these beautiful pictures at night from the decks of these two U.S. Navy vessels.
It's Brian Williams like having an orgasm over American rockets going to kill people rather than being spent on schools
I
or
am
housing.
tempted to quote the great Leonard Cohen, "I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons."
We are one global team
creating trusted, innovative solutions
to make the world a safer place.
No, You make it less safe by bombing the shit out of people. Raytheon, with all that money and technology and all those cool shots and all those lasers running around, but could be like fixing climate collapse. Nope. But at least the Secretary of Defense was on Raytheon's board of directors and got in the neighborhood of about $1.7 million in a severance plan. So, boy, it's not like he has a conflict of interest to keep war going so that Raytheon makes a profit. But all wars are for profit. Afghanistan war cost more than $2 trillion and 240,000 lives, report finds. By the way, this was in the Military Times. This isn't from some Code Pink website. This is the military's own report. So I would guess these numbers are a little low. 240,000 lives. The American media like, but only a couple thousand American soldiers. Right, because American lives are more important than other people's lives. We go to countries and blow those countries up and kill men, women, and children and destroy people's lives, but their lives don't really count as much as an American's life count. What else also isn't in here? The 22 vets a day that commit suicide, some of whom served in Afghanistan and have PTSD as a result of it and have been abandoned by their government. That's why MSNBC is sad this war's ending. Because what will they cover? Maybe some new false flag invasion going into Iran or whatever crazy shit the American empire wants to do. Thanks for watching our show, folks. I got tour dates. Go to GrahamElwood.com. These are our tour dates starting in September. The West Coast and the Midwest and the East and the Southeast and the South we're doing. Boom. Go to GrahamElwood.com to support the show and come to a live show. They're a lot of fun. And of course, go to patreon.com/GrahamElwood and rockfin.com/GrahamElwood. Thanks for watching. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Hey, everybody, it's Graham Elwood. We are going on the road, Ron Placone and I, in September and October. Check GrahamElwood.com for tour dates, probably coming to a city near you. A lot of these shows have sold out in the past. We haven't been on the road in a year and a half because of the pandemic. Come out and join us. The post-pandemic comedy tour. Go to GrahamElwood.com for tickets. New cities being announced every day. Join us and support what we do at patreon.com/GrahamElwood and rockfin.com/GrahamElwood. Blockchain cryptocurrency platform. Thank you. You're making Gotham great again. Boom.